High interest rates, low inventory, and rising prices have created a cocktail that is pushing a lot of would-be buyers out of the market. But is the market getting ready to take a shift? Well, I'm going to talk about it right now. Hey everybody, Dietric Williams, realtor with Compass, Baldwin Hills, California. Welcome back to another edition of Info on the Go, the show where I give tips, tricks, and insight on how to buy, sell, or invest in real estate the easy way. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that bell so that you're notified every time I upload new content to YouTube. Since the beginning of this year, interest rates have shot up more than 2 full percentage points, going from roughly 3.4 to about 5.6%. Now you combine that with lower inventory, and that's putting a kind of steroid effect on prices. And it's leaving many wondering whether the market is starting to take a shift. And so for those of you who have reached out and pretty much asked me my opinion on what I think is going to happen, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. First, the bad news. Prices are probably going to keep rising over the next several years. However, they are starting to decelerate. Notice I didn't say a reversal, merely they're slowing down. So here's kind of the analogy I put to it. Imagine you're driving on the highway, you're going 200 miles per hour. Yes, I know your car probably doesn't go that fast, but just for the sake of this analogy, roll with it, brother. You're going 200 miles per hour, and then all of a sudden you see traffic ahead and you have to slow your speed down to half of that. Now you're going 100 miles per hour. It would seem sometimes that you kind of come to a stoppage and that you're not going anywhere, but relative to what you were traveling at just before, you're still going quite fast. And if you want a proven point of this, if you pass a highway patrolman, they're gonna let you know you're still speeding. And that's pretty much what's happening in the real estate market right now. Home building and home buying have both slowed down. Now, I looked at a small subset of MLS data, and when I say small subset, I'm talking about the city of Los Angeles over the past 30 days. And what I found was, in the past 30 days in the city of LA, there were 839 homes that sold. 623 of those homes sold above list price, and the remaining 216 homes either sold at or below list price. Now, that below list price accounts for about 26% of the total. Taking the same time period last year, there were 1,175 homes that sold. 735 of those sold above list price, and the remaining 490 sold at or below list price. That's about 37%. Taking this in a vacuum, the data suggests to me that there were fewer price adjustments this year than there were last year, meaning that people are still bidding up on homes. And you would think that with higher interest rates, more and more people will be looking for bargain basement shopping. And they are, but that's not happening right now. So these higher interest rates have forced some people out of the market. It's forced others to renegotiate and relook at their purchasing power. So they may be looking at smaller homes. They may be looking at different communities that they normally wouldn't have looked in. I'm going to be releasing a video probably within the next month detailing our home buying process, because we're in escrow right now, and I will walk you through exactly how that goes in this market so that you get an understanding of kind of what I do and what's happening. But in order to see it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so that you get notified when I release that video. So the bad news here is that prices are going to continue to go up, and I'm predicting that's probably going to be the case into 2025. However, we'll see what happens as the Fed is waging its infinity war against inflation right now. That didn't work. Now for some good news. There still may be a way that you can negotiate lower pricing on a new home purchase. Case in point, I had a client who found a home, really loved it. They put an offer in on the home. They actually went $30,000 above what the list price was for. Then we get the inspections back. The inspection report revealed that there's problems with the foundation, the roof, the electrical, and the plumbing. What I call the 4 pillars. So when we got the estimates back, it was about $60,000 worth of work. Right. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out how in the world do we ask for a $60,000 credit or a $60,000 price adjustment? There's no way that the seller is going to go through this. But I recall in an earlier conversation how the agent told me that his seller was looking to purchase a property out of the area, and that they had put in the offer and received a conditional acceptance, meaning that it wasn't official, but the seller on the other end said, sure, we'll take your offer. They just wanted to know about my clients as buyers for the other home, whether they were strong or not. And indeed, they actually were. So knowing this, side note, in negotiations, whoever talks first usually loses. So we began to strategize about what were we going to ask for as a buyer. And what we came up with was a 3% credit and a $20,000 reduction in the purchase price. And I had a feeling that the seller was probably not going to go for it. And once we presented it, the seller did balk. But what I told my client was, you know financially what you can do. And if this isn't what you can do, don't be afraid to walk. And they weren't. We wrote up the cancellation of contract and presented it to the listing agent. The very next morning, he calls me back and says, hey, my client doesn't want to get out of this escrow because they're trying to get this house in another location. So we're going to agree to those terms. That's great. Then the appraisal came back, and the appraisal came back at a value that was above what my clients originally offered. So not only did my buyers get a 3% credit, a $20,000 reduction in purchase price, they also stepped into the house with $20,000 plus of equity. You're probably saying, Dietrich, how in the world did that happen? Well, number one, I'm good at what I do. But more importantly than that, I listened to what the seller's motivation was, and I used that as leverage. So whether you're in the process of writing an offer or negotiating an offer, make sure that you pay attention to what that seller's motivation is, because again, you can use that as leverage at a later time. So back to my original question, is the market shifting? And the data suggests that yes, the market is taking a little bit of a shift. Is it going to be a buyer's market anytime soon? Probably not. But with higher interest rates, just like with inflationary pricing, at some point the consumer is going to say enough is enough, and they're going to simply walk away. When that happens, expect prices to go downward.